It's not like we're going to use this video, probably. It's more for a question.
Exactly.
How did you and Nathalie first meet?
Me and Nathalie, we met in a little town next to Zurich. And she kind of has been born and raised there, and I'm originally Dutch. And came there to the techno culture of the underground music. And I stayed in Zurich afterwards because we had with the father of my daughter, we ended up there, and he until today gives electronic music lessons to kids. And Nathalie brought her little daughter there to learn how to make with logic and with reason things on the computer. And then he started to talk to the mother, and she said like, oh, I have like a cashmere brand. And then he told about me and my involvement with Rick Owens. She said like, I would love to meet her so that she can see my collection. And so we met, and she asked me what I thought about it, because she wanted to go international. I said like, well, if you want to go international, your cashmere is beautiful, but you have to change some things, styles and everything. And that was it. After 10 minutes I went again. And then she wrote me and said like, would you like to work with me for one season to kind of like make it okay for international? And then she, at that moment I didn't have a lot of money. I was very much in the electronic music scene and was working in a bar. Rick Owens was always there next to it, but that was kind of my life. So she offered kind of a big amount of money for one season. I was like, okay, of course, why not? So I thought like, I'm gonna do that, and then afterwards have fun and good luck. And then I met Nathalie better, and we worked on this collection, and it became so good. And I'm very, very critical, even about my own things. I said, we have to go to Paris with this. And so we did, and we rented this little bed and breakfast. There was no money, there was no investors. So we had this little bed and breakfast of 15 square meters. And while sitting on the bed and having the collection around this bed, Maxfield, Max Aspen, all these key people came and bought. And then we decided to change the whole company and gave it the name FRENCKENBERGER. So it's Nathalie Schönenberger and Terry Ann Frencken. That's why it's FRENCKENBERGER. And that's how it started. And then it went off very quickly.
How did you get all those stores for the first time? It is through your connections.
You know, like after 20 years with Rick modeling, and in the beginning of Rick, this was not just the normal showroom. It was rock and roll. I would model and smoke while I was modeling and sitting on the tables when I would take too long to make decisions. And we would all talk. So after 20 years, we made friends. I went for dinner with these people. So when FRENCKENBERGER started, they wanted to see what was there. And so it was very sweet. And through that, it went automatically, because I think the whole rock and roll crew, there are not so many stores during, of course there are big names now, but there is like this core of people like and Susan San Francisco, Maxfield, Ikram, Amaris, Joan Shep, then we have Alan Bizarian. Okay, I probably forgot some, but these were the core people. And they were so rock and roll that they liked it, how I kind of like moved around in Fashion Week. I didn't care about anything, so of course we became all friends. But as they were very good stores, other stores followed them. And they came then to have a look, and as we made a beautiful collection, it went off like that.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, so there was no pushing. I'm not even good in sending out emails saying like, can you please come to visit my showroom? I don't do, I'm too proud for that. So it was kind of like, okay, come and have a look, you don't want? Okay, don't come. And so this was kind of the attitude. And it was, I think it was a little bit, I learned a lot from the whole Rick Owens time. And of course they became very big, so it had to be more organized. And maybe FRENCKENBERGER took it's back 20 years as when Rick was starting. Of course, it's a bit different because Rick started with Elsa Lanza, Luca Ruggeri, that were very inserted in the whole thing. For me, that was of course very new, but the whole kind of feeling and what I learned and why they took me at that time as model as Rick was because it fitted so well. So it was easy for me to connect with this same kind of people.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And everything, the cashmere and the production is in Mongolia?
It's in Inner Mongolia. So a lot of people think that Inner Mongolia is Mongolia. It's not like that. So let's make this whole beautiful story about Mongolia. Inner Mongolia is exactly like Mongolia, just as Inner Mongolia is like an independent state inside of China. So in the end, it is China, but it's an independent thing. It's the best cashmere as well as Inner Mongolia. And Mongolia, it's getting very, very cold in the winter. To reach the underhair of the goats is getting very long, and it's very good for making the, sorry, I don't remember the name in English right now, to make the filato of that. And so the best cashmere is coming from there. And we still do it a little bit different because the cashmere can be good, but it's all about the washing. Like the fluffiness of the cashmere is because when you knit a sweater of cashmere out of the machines, or it is hard, it's harder than cotton. Afterwards it goes in the washing machine and they tumble it even afterwards, and then the whole softness comes out. So less you tumble it, more flat it looks like. So we had a long research on how to make it look fluffy without it would peel too much. I want to say also one thing, people that think that cashmere is never peeling or that there's unpeeling cashmere, it is not possible. So either it is because there is like a 5% of something else in it. If you do pure cashmere, you will buying a baby. You have to work it for the first months. You have to shave it. You have to do it. That's how it is. It is always very difficult to explain, to say like, oh no, it doesn't peel. No, it does, guys. It does. But it stops after a while. Yes.
So you mean the client shaves it?
I mean,
if it peels.
No, I mean, of course, everybody looks that it peels as less as possible, no?
Of course.
And what some people do, you can knit it very, very tight. The tighter you knit it, the less it will peel. The less it has been tumbled at the start, the less it peels. But then you have like almost like a cotton sweater. So it's always this balance you have to find, no, to get the softness of cashmere aware. And I think we found a very good balance in that, to which you have this ultra soft cashmere. Yeah, after a few times wearing, you do have to work on it a little bit. But everybody's always saying like, no, this doesn't happen to us. I don't care to say, yes, it does happen for the first weeks, and then it goes away.
And do you have to go to Mongolia or what?
Yes, we went a few times, especially it's more Nathalie behind the factory and I'm more behind the clients, the designs we do together. Of course there was COVID in the middle when FRENCKENBERGER started to run off. COVID was there and we thought we had to close FRENCKENBERGER. Now we thought it was the end of the beginning. But it was not like that at all. There was a bigger request than ever. And when everybody was doing really bad, we were doing really good. And luckily, we could not, or not luckily, we could not go at that moment to the factory, but we have a very good middle person working for us over there. And it's extremely interesting that when you make a sample collection, often there are delays, things are not working out, and here Nathalie is amazing. I think that from a sample collection, 90% with a middle person over there is perfect. As when nobody is ever talking about that, if you do sample collections, often only 70% is good. And so we are very lucky with this factory. They're trying to make everything possible. As FRENCKENBERGER is in such a little niche of great stores, but we're not everywhere. Also because we're in 2 persons only. have no agents, we have no other persons than me and Nathalie. So the orders are written by us. The whole bulk order is calculated by us. The line sheets are made by me. The lookbook is made by us. It is a two-man show.
I love that the two of you modeled that.
I think we took that also as some kind of like branding. We model it, we do everything. It's actually way too much, but people like it. It's a bit absurd. So it's not the brand from the corner. It's a big brand, but we do everything by ourselves. And I'm very bad in communication in the sense of making PR, Instagram. I think I post something every 2 weeks. I think it's not good, is it? Anyway, but we don't care so much. It's kind of this underground but still high up thing. I don't know how long I get away with this, but it is working because there is enough big investment brands going around, and I think the real people that really like fashion, they like this story of not knowing what is this and why has this got somehow a baby name in the whole situation.
And because you're very particular what stores carry your brand, what's the criteria for choosing?
I think it first was all the stores where I was looking up to, and for me it was a whole list, and I still do have stores on the list that I would love to have. I have also to be honest that as not being so fashionably inserted, sometimes I'm not even aware of the youngsters and the new stores popping up today. I'm still very connected to the chic old gang, and the criteria actually for me are that these people have something to say during Fashion Week, because I look up to them and I like that. You know, everybody needs a hero, I think. And FRENCKENBERGER was never a money machine, even though I don't say that when it started to run good that I didn't like that it was running good. But it was never the idea, like we even said no to a lot of stores because I found that maybe the brands that they were representing was not what I had in mind. I still had this old thing in mind, no, like you buy a FRENCKENBERGER sweater and you buy the Celine bag, no? It was somehow like in my thing, so I pointed kind of on that, through which it was kind of special to have this brand that not so many people knew about, was hanging, in fact, in the end, on the high designer floors. And I find it so funny, and it was also correct, but it was not that you could say like, okay, this is obvious. It was somehow, I think, it's still a rock and roll attitude to make this happen.
And talking about that, let's talk about Plastic Man and what are the collaborations you've done?
So the first collab that we did was with Shane McGowan. Everybody probably forgot about him. This person was a rock person from Ireland that went to England, was always drunk, drugged, and made everybody inspired that until today makes rock music or pop rock music. So Bono, U2, Aerosmith, all these people, he was the real rock person. That was the attitude. He was never sober, but he made amazing music. And so I have to be honest, I didn't even know about him because I'm not even a rock person until we met Johnny Depp in Zurich, and also the wife of Shane McGowan was there because
How did you meet Johnny Depp?
We meet him because he did one of his first productions of his movie label, how do you say, production thing. And they made the whole story about Shane McGowan. A few rounds with Shane McGowan, Crock of Gold. Because people tended to forget the guy that actually made everything happen. And Johnny was not forgetting that, so together with the wife of Shane, they produced this documentary. And as they presented at the Zurich Film Festival, and Nathalie said like, well, Johnny should wear some FRENCKENBERGERs. Like, you're right, no? So So Nathalie called like the people from the film festival because they're friends of her, and they were like, "Oh, but it's COVID. No, it can be difficult, and we put it in his room, and he will love it." And I said, "No, this is not cool enough for me. No, either I give it or either I don't." So it was not so difficult for my character to kind of like to meet up, and then we hang out for 12 hours talking. And Victoria was also there, and she was very much into angels and things like that. So she had some kind of like things with paintings with angels. And so the whole evening was great, it was lovely. Everybody said goodbye, we kept all the context. And then I was driving in the car to France, and I was thinking like, oh, we should put these angels on a cashmere scarf. And so it started actually with Victoria Mary Clark, the wife of Shane, and we made these angel scarves that became underground famous. So Kate Moss is wearing them, Bono, Johnny Depp, everybody, and we only had them limited, and we had to do a re-limited edition of a re-limited edition. So it was first A1 to 70, then it was B1 to 70, then we came, it was really funny. And then Victoria said, well, Shane has this beautiful art, and he did. It's amazing, and they're so rock and roll. She sent me the whole files of him, and she kept everything. So he would be like touring with the band, with the Pokes in America, and he would just like write something dirty or something beautiful on a little piece of paper. And so Victoria sent us this whole file, and we chose some images, and we put them knitted inside of the cashmere. So no print, we knitted it inside. It was crazy. And then Sarah from McVie said, like, Terry, it's so beautiful because you put them on the big blankets, and then we put them in frames. So you had this 2 meter by 180. So at Maxfield in the Jean Prouvé pavilion, we had this huge Shane McGowan artworks, one-on-one, the same but knitted inside of the cashmere. And then in the same colors, we had the blankets and we had the cardigans. And I know that at that time, you know, this is FRENCKENBERGER. Tommy, the owner of Maxfield, was kind of like, oh yeah, let Terry do something. No, then she's happy because we like each other. But then we did it, and he said like, who did this exhibition? This is so beautiful. And Sarah said like, well, it's Terry with Nathalie from FRENCKENBERGER. And he was like, oh, this is so amazing. And so it always went like that. And from there, everything comes to personal things that happened with me and Nathalie. Okay, the Plastic Man thing. That Plastic Man was an old project from Richie Alton, the most famous techno DJ worldwide. And when I was still a DJ, I was looking up to Richie Alton. He was a legend. And at that time, we're talking about 25 years ago, Plastic Man, his project, made the minimal techno come alive. And this little logo of Plastic Man standing like this, that was Plastic Man. And we stayed somehow in touch because while we were DJing we would play on the same festivals, but he was way bigger than us. But I loved the guy, and he had a beautiful girlfriend, and so I just contacted him, and he said like, of course I do this, Terry. And I said like, but be aware that if you do this with Prada, because he's making the soundtracks for the shows of Prada, you will sell thousands and thousands. With us, you will come in great stores, but you will not make volume or big money. So like, I don't care. I like your situation. And so here is what I got for me as well as for Nathalie out of FRENCKENBERGER. That people like how we move, so we get it done. And the next collaboration is gonna be Fall/Winter 24 with Sylvie Fleury. She is a contemporary artist, very known. She made like this Chanel, when you have the palette of the makeup from Chanel, she made it huge on the wall. She's very known into the fashion scene. And she
had exhibits, many exhibits, and at the Swiss.
Yes, she's big, and she was asked by Porsche Taycan to make the direction of a shooting, and I was modeling. This was like 1.5 years ago, and so we connected during lunch, and then in the end we went for dinner, and I said like, well, shall we do something together? And she is very precise, and not easy, exactly as I can be, so that works out. So we are kind of, you know, she was like she's like, I want this and this story, and I was like, okay. So I knew if I show her too much, she's gonna freak. So we're just making the samples right now, and then I'm gonna show her afterwards, and she's gonna be happy because I know her. So, but these are all the things that are happening, and
great.
yeah, that's where we are now. But to be honest, it is a bit exhausting for a brand that has, let's say, is selling to maybe like 80 stores and not like 1,000 stores, as all the brands that are having a big investment say like money, money, money. Now sometimes you do things and we don't even have time for PR. Then you can say like, okay, take a PR agency, but we don't do that because I'm thinking then, oh, then I have to stand behind these people of the PR management if they do it well or if they are going in the direction that I like. And I know my character, I would freak out, so we don't do anything. But there's big things happening, and maybe, you know, this is also the nice thing. Who cares that it comes out really big?
It's very organic, and I think
sometimes it's though a pity that not enough people see it, no? Because these are big things happening, and at the same time, the most important thing is that you're proud and that the people where you're doing things with are very happy and liking it, and that the family stays tied together. Most of the stores we had from the beginning, they're all still there.
I remember being in the showroom when Max of Denver was there.
Yeah.
And that was your very first show.
Yes, he was one of of our first ones together with Max Fields, and oh, I'm gonna forget some people, I'm sure. That's me. It just started like that. They just tried it, and as the product was amazing, they sold very well. And so their budgets became bigger, and we could relax a little bit more. It was good, and all these people are still there. And we go for dinner. We have fun. We went sometimes during COVID. They would come to the FRENCKENBERGER showroom to make like the digital appointments, because it was FRENCKENBERGER that is sleeping in their showroom. I mean, we can now book the most beautiful hotel, but it started like that, and we still do it. So that means we have this huge bed standing there with all these cashmere pillows, and they throw themselves on this big bed. And during COVID, they would come and do the other, like Barjela, whatever, from our bed. And I loved it. And I felt like, okay, this is all what it's about. To have this group of family affair going on. And I think, you know, we are living once. And if you make friends with the people that you're working with, then you did it.
I think that's perfect. One other question. These 80 stores, they're all over the world. What countries are they in?
I think 1/3 is in America. And then the rest, we have not so much in Asia, also because that we would need Asia to have no contacts to that. But we have Bone the Shop now opening up FRENCKENBERGER over there. It's Europe and America. Yeah. And yeah, let's see where this is taking. I have to say, you know, when you have to, yeah, sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
No, I have to be honest, for when you're kind of like liking the family situation, sometimes I would like to have a break, and Nathalie too. But this you cannot with fashion. Yes, you can. Of course, you can do whatever you want. But when you would take a break for half a year, it doesn't mean you have a break, because you still have the deliveries from the season that has to be delivered. You have to make the new thing. It is non-stop going. And even how creative you are or not, you cannot deny that if you do it in two, that it's not about making the collection, because it comes the easiest. It's about the ability to say, like, you know what, let's just, like, kind of guys, no, we need to travel a little bit. Of course you can do it anyways, but it is a non-stop going of Fashion Week, and you have these amazing people, and we are so lucky to be in the middle of these amazing people. But fashion, we all know, is not always that sweet and easy.
No. Great.